It's such a pleasure to talk to you about this role because he's got so much backstory and post-story and everything about it. What do you take on in terms of information about Nick Fury that you find interesting?
Well, you know, I've been sort of looking at and reading about Nick Fury for a long time, so I think it's quite intriguing that he may be a contemporary of Captain America, and he's just been around and watched all those changes. So at one point, I'm sure he had the same ideals and worldview that Captain America had. It's just over the 70 years that Captain America's been asleep, Nick has been out there watching the changes and has grown a bit cynical and accustomed to the ways of the world in a way that Captain America hasn't. So when Cap's kind of taking his time getting up to speed, Nick's kind of impatient with that. And he has a different way of speaking to him in terms of understanding what his problem is, but knowing, you know, you got to let go and kind of step up to the plate.
Do some characters feel more fun to play for you, that you enjoy coming back to this role because he's quite delicious?
It's not often that you do that. You know, I've only done it maybe once before in terms of coming back to a character on a regular basis. That was like Mace Windu in Star Wars. I was supposed to do it in Unbreakable, and I was looking forward to being Elijah through 3 movies, but that didn't happen. So
that was an amazing film, actually. I love it.
So it's kind of refreshing to keep doling out bits and bits and bits of Nick. And interestingly enough, you know, I'm not really sure if I've doled out any real truth about him, aside from the fact that the things that Robert Redford says about our characters are very significant in terms of what we did in a subversive sort of way to change the tide of history in terms of who was running a particular government in a particular place and what we did to make that happen. I think those might be the only truthful things we know about him. Aside from that, those little stories that he tells, we never know if he's telling the truth or not. He's a master of deceit.
He is. He's very good at it as well. Yeah. Is it the kind of thing that you take for, you know, the enthusiasm of being on sets like that? Do you still get that kind of excitement of, you know, on seeing Captain America set after, you know, all your experience and everything you've done? Is it still exciting?
The little boy in me still enjoys going into a world that's full of fantastic people and watching those people do fantastic things. And I guess the joy for me as an adult in that particular space is knowing that there are all these people who have these amazing abilities, and you know, Nick Fury is just a man, but because of his will and his, I guess, cunning, he has a way of getting these people to bend to his will.
He does it very well in this one, without giving too much away. The fans really wanted to know if the patch bothers you.
The patch doesn't bother me in that particular way. I rather enjoy wearing it. I just had to come to a realization that when I'm at home studying before I go to work the next day, I have to study with one eye closed so that the things that I take in stay in that particular place. When you learn with 2 eyes open and you close one, you lose some of the knowledge that you got. I don't know why that is. It's just one of those brain things. I didn't Google that.
Well, you seem to be tweeting a lot at the moment. Do you enjoy premieres differently now that social media exists?
It's a way for me to share with an audience what's going on around me. They still don't know how crazy it is, or how bizarre it can be to be around that many people screaming your name and trying to get something from you. It's kind of crazy to have, you know, 10,000 people wanting to take a selfie.
10,000 selfies.
Yeah, 10,000 selfies.
1 million likes.
Yeah, right.
A crazy world we're living in. Would there ever be a movie about Nick Fury? Obviously, there's a lot of rumors about it. The fans would really want to see one of them. Would you want to make one?
Well, I hope the fans keep making that noise, and maybe somebody at Marvel will hear it. You know, I don't make suggestions to them, and I leave them alone, so make sure they don't kill me.
No. Well, without giving anything away, no one can kill Nick Fury. He will come back with a vengeance. Yeah. Is there anyone who you have particular pleasure playing with in those types of films? It's real ensembles. There's a lot of people around. Do you have preferences?
Well, there are a lot of people. I mean, I still have the best relationship with Natalia and all of that. And I think there's a very interesting tale to be told about, you know, Nick bringing her from the dark into what they perceive as the light, which is not really the light, but them both being members of this shadow community that we haven't learned very much about yet. And maybe we're about to, just because they have to go back into it.
There's so many interesting characters in, you know, Marvel Comics and comic books in general. What do you think makes the public love them so much, and this enduring love that they have for them throughout the years?
Well, everybody likes to imagine that fantastic space that those comic books portray. I mean, I remember when I was a kid and I was reading comic books, and I was just looking at the way people moved around. There were like people in tights, or people with capes, or people with green hair and blue hair, and funny glasses and costumes, and cars flying through the air and looking a certain way. And I always wondered, wow, that must be a great place to be. And now I walk around and I see people in tights with green hair and blue things and capes and whatever. And, you know, only thing missing is flying cars. You know, I'm sure they're coming. You know, we have electric cars now, and people are talking to their wrists and, you know, things in their ears and communicating and doing things that we never thought possible. So that's part of it. But everybody wants to feel, you know, special in a way, and I'm sure there are a lot of qualities when they look at the characters in these films. They can see something in themselves, or they feel like, you know, I could be in a place like that and I could enjoy it. And it's a great place to come and, you know, lose yourself for 2.5, 3 hours and be there. And I think Marvel has found a way to infuse humor and real life situations in these extraordinary situations that allow people to enjoy them more. And I think the heroes are the kind of people that they like, and that they're as interesting as anyone else in most other films. And I think, you know, DC's trying to figure that out in a way that, for me, the villains in those films are more interesting than the heroes. So, you know, if I had to be in that world, I'd be a villain.
You'd be a villain.
Yeah.
But that's what I think about cinema. It's total evasion. I'm glad you think the same, because that's what it's all about. Travel to other places.
Oh, yeah.